how to use the riding aids or not to use them. Today I'm going to chat with you about some of the uncommon truth. I'm going to teach you why striving for the obedience of the aids is probably not your first move and what to do instead. So hi, my name is Chris Adderson. How to have a horse who is actually settled, which means that they are willing to go forward. They are willing to slow down. They're not in their own world, either turned off or turned tremendously on. A horse that loves what they're doing. So the horse becomes interested in the work because the horse understands where it's going. And I'm going to share with you how I created that with my horses and how you can create that with your horse too. So in the past, instructors may say to you, and I have had this as well, let me know if this resonates with you, just up the phases. If you don't get a response at phase 1, up the phases as high as you need to get it until the horse moves away or yielding. Let me know if you are familiar with that. Or your horse has got your number. Your horse is taking advantage of you. For me, and this may be the same for you too, when you love your horse and you want the very best for them as well as you too, you don't want them to become dull, right? You don't want them to be turned off. You don't want them to not go forward or to be reactive or to be stressed out just because of pressure. The first thing that we need to do is to get a clear idea of when to use the aids, when to expect obedience, and when to not. All right? It's not a blanket approach. And my answer to when to use this obedience to the aids and expecting it is in an emergency. If your horse is going to give a major spook that's going to be unsittable, then you are going to want that horse to be obedient to certain aids that your horse may be completely distracted, right? Your horse may see something totally off in the distance, far away, and is preparing to have that big time spook or to run away, right? But then, you know what? This actually comes under the realm of establishing boundaries and establishing your bond with your horse. Because if you're constantly nurturing your bond with your horse, then it's less likely that you will get into this situation that I'm describing. But horses are horses, things can always happen. Do not use the idea of obedience to the aids when you're training with your horse. This is when not to use the obedience of the aids, okay? Horses are much more intelligent than that. It doesn't make sense that we would expect them to be obedient to all of this pressure from all of these places at the right time and have it be all perfect and it all works. There are so many more things to consider other than that. Before we up the phases, if you're going to do that, which is obedience to the aids, by the way, there are so many more things we have to consider. Oh, there's so much more depth to it. Like one of those points is recognizing your horse's threshold and actually seeing your horse, actually hearing what your horse is saying, and giving your horse a voice, giving them a choice in the conversation, a choice to say no, and then digging deep and finding out why they are saying no. And you may get lots of no's, and it may be disconcerting, but you will come out on the other side. You will no longer be in blissful ignorance. How long are you going to be in blissful ignorance, following the obedience to the aids and not giving our horses the benefit that they deserve and the respect that they deserve? So when you get a chance to work with us, as one of our students, Deb, I'm going to give you an example of Deb in our program, we will take you through a process of gaining a new awareness along these lines. So you will really get to see and know and understand your horse specifically. And it, of course, starts with understanding yourself. And then your horse will show interest in your training. and the riding, and they will choose to be with you and choose to want to ride. Not because there's a consequence to not being obedient, or not because they're going to be reprimanded for not being obedient. They will choose to do that. So Deb was constantly struggling with her horse, and when she would on calls with us, she would always mention how her horse didn't want to be caught, how her horse would run away, how her horse would leap into the air on the lunge, or when she was in hand or riding, there'd just be this constant anxious chewing on the bit, which really drove her crazy. It really irritated her. So this nervousness was always coming up in her horse. So when we worked with her in our program, we gave her tools to use. And then soon she was coming on her calls, and she would say things like, I can feel another epiphany bubbling up. And we would laugh and we would say, okay, what's that? And she would explain it. Yesterday, she sent me a message and she said, my horse has become willing. The floodgate has opened. What joy. Thank you. When we have this outlook upon our horses, when we can see them as not just being obedient and serving us, but rather sentient beings who we need to see, to understand, to know, to feel, to read, to be with, that's when we'll get the epiphanies happening. And how do you perceive your work with your horse? Is it a tactic or is it a strategy? A tactic is something small, right? It's something that you can do, you can change from day to day. It doesn't have to be a thread. Whereas a strategy is an overarching logic and how everything plays together. So to relate back to Deb in our program, we have a strategy that we worked with her. We worked through her stuckness with her horse and what she was experiencing, so that she could use the tools that we were giving her and she could come out on the other side. Part of that strategy that we did with Deb was teach her how to hold space for her horse. Okay, so what I mean by that is to listen and to see the trajectory. The trajectory is from confusion to clarity to willingness. All right, and in her message yesterday, she said, my horse has become willing. So we teach you how to pay attention to those internal shifts that allow your horse to make the leap to the next level. So we slow things down. At the beginning, we slow things down enough that your horse becomes more aware of what they're doing. So then they can do it in a more repeatable manner. And then they can duplicate it, and they can duplicate it by themselves. When your horse starts duplicating these desirable movements and efforts that we're looking for, that's when it's amazing, and that's when it becomes a real partnership. So when your horse is able to understand exactly what is shifting within themselves because you're slowing them down enough and you are being very specific on the things that need to be repeated, rather than just being, well, oh, I was lucky that time, or that was a fluke, what happened there, or happenstance, right? We want it to be identifiable, repeatable, and duplicatable. And that's what we have in our system. So your job as a guide for your horse, training your horse, is to articulate for your horse the specific steps that are required along this journey, right, to the final outcome that you're looking for with your horse and you. And this is what we do in our program. We help you to determine this. We help you to get clarity. We help you to get specific enough, like we did with Deb. And we provide everything in context, right? So that it's not just out of the blue, here's something to do. I don't know if it relates to your horse or you at all, but just do it. That's a waste of time. The strategy is what's going to help you get there. it's like looking through a window, right? It's like looking through a window, and you can see the specifics through that window of the different shifts that you're going to look for and have happen. So that then your horse says, oh, I feel differently now. I understand where we're going. This is what you want your horse to say. And then the horse will start to duplicate that for you, to give that to you without being asked. So the horse is enjoying the process and involved with the learning with you. So if you'd like support with that, if you'd like to support with finding out what that is for you and your horse, then you can click on the link somewhere around this video and we can find out how we can help you and your horse. Okay, bye for now. I'll see you next time.